We're going to get started now. I'd like to welcome everybody to our Student Experience webinar. My name is Andrea Thomas. I'm the Chief Experience Officer, and this is the second in a series of webinars that we're doing to help prepare new students and their families for school to start. The topic today is getting moving ready with our housing and residential education team. We've got Rachel Aho, who's the Director of Housing, and Laura Tanager, who's the Associate Director of Operations. And they will be covering what you need to know to prepare for the first steps of living on campus and how to transition from life at home to life on campus. We are filming this, we're capturing it on video, and we will be putting it up on our YouTube channel and also on Utah Fresh. So if you go to utah.edu and then click into Utah Fresh, you can see last week's webinar. We're also doing a webinar next week, and at the end I'll kind of give you a preview for that. But we have a lot of really great information. So I want to thank Rachel and Laura for being here, and I will turn it over to them.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to share some information with you all about how to transition to campus. The first things that I'm going to talk to you about are some of the things that you can do before you move in, specifically around what you can prepare for your room before you move in. So there are a few options in different services that you can select. Those are called optional services when your student goes through the housing application or into the portal through CIS for their housing options. So those optional services are just that. They are optional. They are anywhere from free to a cost for the semester. And some of those include some indoor bicycle storage. So Utah is very cold in the winter, very hot in the summer, and then a lovely in between the rest of the year. And a lot of students are looking for bike storage that is covered. We do have ample parking across campus for bicycles where you can walk and store your bike. We do recommend, though, that if you're interested in indoor bicycle storage, we typically have a lottery process so that students who are interested can be selected for that, because unfortunately our indoor storage is less than the requests that we've had this year. That deadline by the date of this event here on this webinar, that deadline is passed. However, if your student has any questions about if there's availability, they're welcome to contact the housing office, and our staff can walk you through if there's any open options in their building. Another option that we have available is your loft kit. So all of the furniture in the rooms is movable. And on top of that, the beds are adjustable to different heights. So our furniture does vary across some of our buildings. So it's important that you visit our website and look at where your student is living. And there will be specifics on our site page for each building, as well as our furniture pages, so that you get a sense of what furniture is available and what height options are available. Just as a heads up, there are some buildings that we don't allow lofts. So our apartments in Shoreline and Benchmark are a good example of that. The ceiling height, when a bed is fully lofted to its topmost height, you are very close to that ceiling. And more often than not, when we've had those requests, we put them up, the student looks at it and says, oh, never mind, and we put it back down. So if there's another need for a bed height, maybe you have a student who's looking for a disability accommodation, they have mobility concerns, please contact our office and we can make sure that you are connected with the right resources for that. Other than that, though, please look at our website for loft kit information for your building. Once you arrive on campus and your student has checked in, at that time, there will be the ability to request the loft kit. So we really want you to be in room, putting eyes on that furniture and your room configuration, especially if your student has roommates or suite mates. And that way everyone can come to a good decision as they put into that request for a loft kit. Those are free of charge. So just know that our teams are going to be available during all move-in days, including early arrival move-in days. So if you put in that request, our team is trying to get to that same day and make sure that that loft kit is put in. Housing and Residential Education is also working with a vendor called College Products, and that vendor is providing micro chills and in-room safes. So if your student has valuables, medication, or other items that they would like to have an in-room safe, or you're interested in a sort of mini fridge freezer combination, mini fridge microwave combination, College Products provides that, and students can contact them via the information on our website to order those. The great thing about this is that the vendor delivers that to the room for you. You don't have to lug a mini fridge up the stairs. And they also take care of picking that item up after move out. So that's really great because all your student has to do at the end of the year is clean it, and then it's taken care of. And you don't have a mini fridge sticking with your student after their first year on campus. We will have some of those units available for on your move-in day that you can do some on-site reservations. Those will be limited, so we do encourage people to try and reserve those sooner rather than later. But just know that we will have some availability if you end up changing your mind or decide you want something different. Finally, we do have a contract as a university with Xfinity. And so all of our students in residence halls and in downtown commons are on the university network. So they will be able to get Xfinity on campus through all of their lobby and shared space TVs. Now, if your student would like to get Xfinity as an account on their personal device so that it's in their room, that's also available. The cost for that is $6.99 a month is how it breaks down, but just be aware that is an annual subscription. Your student can sign up for that now by going into the Housing New portal available through CIS. And when they select the Housing Forms button at the top of their page, one of those forms is for optional services, and they can look through those available options. And there are a lot of questions about details and like what people should expect before move-in. I know we get a lot of questions about like room dimensions. You're welcome to contact our office, but most of our answers that we get or give out are on our website. So make sure that you visit housing.utah.edu, and you can find information about furniture, room layout. There are general dimensions because a lot of our rooms are slightly different. So just come with an open mind that something might not be exactly as the example on our website, but it's very close. If you have any other questions, our staff is here to help you out. But that's everything that we have for our optional services. So we'll talk next about move-in. So I'm going to transition over to Rachel for the next steps.
Thanks, Laura. So we are very excited. Move-in is just around the corner this month. And as Laura stated, there are some things you can be doing now to prepare for move-in. In addition to considering any of the optional services that Laura talked about, we would encourage you to verify your move-in arrival appointment time. Several of you may have already selected this time and may be aware of this time. If you are not aware of your move-in time, you can find that by logging into Housing U via CIS, and you'll find that on the left side of the main page. You will want to plan to arrive on campus for your move-in at that time. Very soon as well, we will be sending you an additional move-in email to your UMail account. So continue checking that UMail account. That will have detailed instructions for move-in and check-in. And we will also be providing you soon with a move-in QR code. You'll want to make sure to have that QR code handy when you check in, and that's going to make your check-in process really smooth and really fast as well. So what happens during move-in? When you arrive to campus for your move-in time, you will check in if you're moving in during our main move-in dates, so August 15th to the 18th. You're going to check in at our university union. So you'll head to the union, send your student in to the union, and that's where you'll present that QR code. You'll get your key and move-in packet and instructions on how to get to your residence hall. Next, you will go to your residence hall and you'll head to your parking lot or unloading zone right by your hall. We ask that you roll up, as we say, unload, and then move your car after you've unloaded to the Rice-Eccles Stadium parking lot. This is to keep our traffic flowing and moving really easily throughout move-in day. And we provide shuttles on a regular basis throughout the entire move-in day to get you back to your residence hall, and then have the rest of the day to relax, unpack, get settled in, and enjoy the move-in experience. In terms of what you can anticipate that we're going to be so excited to welcome you. We have so many volunteers, and our HRE staff will be wearing red shirts that you can see. Our volunteers will be in green shirts, and we'll be there to help make this experience just a lot of fun and as easy as possible for you. We know this is a big transition. There will be plenty of folks around handing out things like water and popsicles, and here to direct you if you get lost on where to go. So don't be worried about that as well. In terms of the evenings, once you arrive, you should anticipate that you will have a community meeting or a floor meeting that evening of your move-in day. So you'll want to make sure that you are present and around for that meeting. That's where you'll get to meet your RA and your community advisor potentially, and hear about what it's like to live on campus, as well as go over some community guidelines too. We also have a variety of events that will be happening throughout move-in week and our weeks of welcome. You'll be able to find all of those details on the Utah Fresh website as well. So please plan to partake in those move-in events. That's a great way, again, to get acclimated to campus, to meet some new friends, and to make the most of those first few weeks. In terms of what else you can do, we have some move-in tips and tricks for you that we wanted to share. One of those tips and tricks is to get to know your address on campus. This is where you'll be able to receive mail and packages. You can check that address by going to our housing website and clicking on desk and mail services. That will be your address through the entirety of the academic year. You can begin mailing packages and mail to yourself starting August 8th. So please do not start sending things until August 8th. We do recommend that you wait to purchase any large items or materials that you need, again, until you get a sense of that space. The last thing we want is for you to, order a furniture item or order something and it doesn't fit, or you and your roommate both ordered the same thing and now you're having to negotiate that. So we do recommend that you wait to arrive on campus to purchase those large items. Salt Lake City has plenty of places for you to head out and shop. They are well aware that you all are coming to the University of Utah, so you can check out Target or IKEA or Walmart, Smith's. They will all be decked out in U of U gear and ready for you. The other things you can be doing in advance of move-in, if you have not already, make sure you submit a photo to our U-Card office. This will ensure that your U-Card is ready for you to pick up if you did not pick that up at orientation. So make sure you're submitting that U-Card photo to the U-Card office. Lastly, if you are bringing a car to campus, make sure that you purchase a parking permit. You will do that through Commuter Services website. You do need a permit to park on campus. And as a reminder, a parking is not guaranteed right outside your building. So you should anticipate, especially during move-in week, needing to move your car to that Rice-Eccles Stadium. And then throughout the academic year, anticipate that you may need to park a little ways away from your building and walk to your building, but you will have access to parking here on campus. Having a car on campus is not required. In fact, we share with students that only about 30% of our first-year students bring a car to campus. We have plenty of public transportation and campus transportation options for you as well. So we encourage you, if you don't need one, to not bring a car, and you will be able to access all of those options on campus. During move-in, we have a variety of things to help you make moving easier. One of the things that we provide to all families and students are what we call red carts. If you're looking at the picture on the screen right now, you'll see one of those red carts there. This will be rolled up and available to you to roll up to your car when you arrive. Unpack your belongings into this and then roll that up to your room. It makes moving really smooth and go quite quickly. We do recommend that you label your boxes or items with your last name and your room number. That helps to ensure that your belongings, should they get misplaced along the way, that they get back to you. That doesn't really happen a whole lot, but it's just a nice way to ensure during move-in that your belongings are labeled. Again, we'll have staff and volunteers on site to answer any questions. We encourage you as you get your key to make sure to secure that somewhere, whether that's on a key ring or on a lanyard. You'll be surprised at how many students lose that key right away on move-in day. So make sure that you secure that. Take the time to do that after you get it at the union. You'll need that to enter your room, as well as to lock your room and get that secured. And then lastly, we encourage you to, again, ask questions, meet people. Everyone else is, here in that same day. They're also probably a little nervous about moving in. And it's a great chance to get to know folks and prepare to get involved. Which brings me to my next tips for you. So I have 5 tips for transitioning to campus. Number 1 is to make a plan to get involved. It is not too early to get involved as a first-year student. In fact, we encourage that. We have plenty of ways to get involved from our Student Leadership and Involvement Office, but also within housing and residential education. One of the opportunities I want to highlight is our Residence Hall Association. Our Residence Hall Association, or RHA, you can think of like a student government for housing students. We have a variety of boards. They plan events. They will be putting on many of the events that you are heading to actually during move-in week and the weeks of welcome. And that's a great way, again, to get involved, get your foot in the door, and have a leadership position on campus right away. We are also hiring for student positions. So if you'd like to apply, get an on-campus job and work with us in housing, we'd encourage you to apply for our positions. It's a great way to make a little extra money, to know that we're going to work around your class schedule and have some flexible hours, and to have your workplace be really close to where you live. Tip number 2 is to use the resources we have here on campus. Especially within housing, we have a lot of different resources for you to use, whether that's access to music practice rooms or meditation spaces, our equity lounge, our dining centers, our Adobe Creative Commons, maker spaces in Lasan Studios. Those are all here for you to enjoy, to help support your academic endeavors, and also to help you just relax after a long day too. So we encourage you to use those resources. Ask the front desk, what's available for me to check out from the desk. We have a lot of resources there as well, whether that's, gaming systems, pool cues for you to play pool, or, materials to help you again with your academic studies that you can check out. So make sure to stop in, get to know our front desk staff too, and they'll help you know what some of those resources are. All right, tip number 3, excuse me. Tip number 3, don't be afraid to ask questions. This is your time. Everyone, like I said, is really excited to welcome you to campus. And there is no question that is too small. So make sure to ask your RA, ask your residence director, catch one of us in the red shirts at move-in if you have questions, or contact our staff members. They're called resident outreach coordinators. Their whole job is to make sure to connect you with campus resources as well, and make sure that you have exactly what you need to adjust to campus and be successful too. So don't be afraid to ask those questions, particularly as you arrive on campus. We anticipate that. We know there's a lot to take in, and we're here and ready for that. Number 4, the tip, be honest with your roommates and have some candid conversations. If you have not already talked to your roommate and started to build that relationship, early on is the best chance for you to do that and to talk about, how you want to live together. For a lot of you, this may be your first time sharing a space and living with someone else. And so it's important that you let them know what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. So for example, if you don't want your roommate to be eating your snacks, you want, to savor those Oreos, those are your Oreos, let them know that. That's okay early on to have those conversations. I know sometimes we want to be nice and accommodating right off the bat and share everything. And then, 6-7 weeks into the semester, we're feeling like a little frustrated with some of the decisions or things that we've let go on and on. So set up those boundaries and those agreements early on, and that's going to set you up for a great year. Our resident advisors and community advisors will also be here to help you have those conversations and to prompt some of those topics about what you should be discussing with your roommate. But that's a great way to start right off the bat. Be honest with your roommates and have some conversation. And number 5, give yourself some time to adjust and seek support. So this is a big change for many of you. So it's normal for you to be feeling nervous, excited, homesick, happy, maybe all of those at the same time. So it's important that you take care of yourself, give yourself some grace, and also, again, take advantage of the resources we have to help you adjust on campus. We have so many resources that help to support your well-being, whether that's counseling services, whether that's working out at our Student Life Center, or whether that's, again, connecting with our staff members in housing. Give yourself that time, know that you're doing great, take some risks, put yourself out there, attend those events, and you're going to set yourself up for success. All right, those are our tips and the information we wanted to share. I see we have gotten quite a few questions that have come in as well within the chat, and so we want to make sure to get to some of those questions.
Great. So Rachel, I'll go through the questions for you and Laura. And some of the questions have been answered in the chat, but since we are filming this or taping it, we want to go over some of the questions that have already been answered. So for those watching later on, they can see that. I first want to reiterate that this presentation will be available to you, the tape of this, the recording of this, by the end of this week. So if you go to utah.edu/UtahFresh, or if you just go to utah.edu, Utah Fresh is on the front page. It kind of rotates through. So it will be there by the end of this week. There was a question about lofting where they're already available, and so some triple rooms already have lofting, and so they're listed out these. But Laura, do you want to go over again the lofting, which housing units have lofting options and which ones don't?
Absolutely. So for our loft kits, once your student arrives on campus, they can request a loft kit through the Housing U portal through CIS, and they'll go to a link at the top that says Housing Forms, and that's where optional services are listed. Once your student's checked in, the option to request a loft is open. So buildings with our loftable beds include Chapel Glen, Sage Point, Gateway Heights, Officer Circle, Collard Village, Marriott Honors Community, and Lassonde. Unfortunately, because of some of our other buildings, either bed types or ceiling heights, items like that restrict the ability to loft a bed, we are unable to provide a loft kit in Downtown Commons, University Guest House, Benchmark Apartments, and Shoreline Apartments. Again, either due to the ceiling height or due to the bed type provided in those buildings. If there are questions beyond those building listings, or if your student has a question once you arrive on the campus, you're welcome to give either a question in your loft kit request or you can contact our office and we're happy to find out more information for you.
Excellent, thank you. And Laura, you mentioned in the chat that all triple rooms are already lofted.
That's correct. Because most of our triple rooms are accommodating 3 students and 3 students worth of things and furniture, we have already lofted them so that it's easier for those students to move in and make the most of their space. If you are in a double or a single room, those are not automatically lofted. And then for anyone in our apartments, those are all single bedrooms, with exception to just a few spaces in downtown commons. So they should be all set.
Great, thank you. There are maps for buildings. So if you don't know where the A-Ray Open Union building is, if you don't know which building where it's located that you're in, you can find maps in the housing.utah.edu website, correct?
Yes, you can find those maps there in our email to you as well. We will also, and on our website, also have driving directions and transportation directions. So you can anticipate that information coming your way.
Excellent. Rachel, you mentioned that public transportation is available. I just want to make sure everybody knows that with your U card, you actually get free access to tracks and to UTA buses and the public transportation. And so that's something that just comes free with your U card. You talked about the housing parking passes and going to commuter services. Are they already available for purchase?
So I was just talking with our IT staff when this question was asked in the chat. I'm double checking. It should be available next week for sure. I don't know if it's available yet, but we will say next week for sure those permits will be available as we send the information to commuter services so they know who's a resident and who can purchase those passes.
Okay, and then students who buy meal cards, when are the meal cards activated to be able to use?
So all of our meal plans start on August 15th, which is our first standard move-in day. If there are students that are arriving earlier, we do have dining options open. So you can find those locations and the hours of operation on our website. What we tell students is, even though your meal plan itself isn't active yet, you have a couple of options. All of our locations take cash, credit card, check, any other form of payment you might find anywhere else that you would buy food. But on top of that, with your UID card, you can add cash to that card so it operates like a debit balance on your student's U card. So that's something that students can do through the U card website, or that can be loaded either by themselves or by a family member that has their university ID.
Okay, and all of the meal options, places that people can eat, that will be open to families as well during the move-in time period, correct?
Absolutely. We know there's a lot of people supporting students during move-in. So during that students move-in day, if they bring a couple of guests with them, we welcome you to join us, try out the food, enjoy the environment, take a breather, have a seat after all that moving in.
Okay, excellent. There's a couple questions about move-in reservations. So either they've been changed or they want to amend an appointment. Is it too late to do that? And what would the process be to make any changes?
Great question. So we've just assigned all of the students who hadn't signed up on their own for a move-in appointment. So at this point, all students should have an email at their CIS or Utah email account. And that's where they can find the best move-in time based on either what they've selected or what we've assigned them. If you need to make a change, unfortunately, at this point, we are past the date that we can accommodate an early arrival request. So anyone trying to arrive earlier than the 15th. But if you were scheduled for, let's say, the 16th and you want to move in the 15th, contact our office and we can make that adjustment. Also, if you have some extenuating circumstances, we know life happens. So if you find yourselves in a situation where you really need to adjust this time, give our office a call. We're happy to chat through what options we have and listen to kind of what's impacting y'all's schedule, and we can work with you from there.
Great, thank you. The university guest house isn't listed on the campus mail services list. Where should they go for information if they're living in the university guest house?
Yeah, the best place to look for that when you go to the Desk and Mail Services website will be under the heading Heritage Commons. So Heritage Commons will be the place that will service the university guest house, as well as any residence halls located in that area. So that would include Sage Point, Chapel Glen, Gateway Heights, Benchmark Plaza, Shoreline Ridge, and Officers Circle. So you can find that at housing.utah.edu/living-the-u/desk mail services.
Excellent. Thank you. What kind of safety demonstrations or training are students going to be able to go through when they move in? For specifically earthquake safety was mentioned in a question, but other safety as well.
Yeah, this is a great question. All safety information will be provided to students in two ways. One, we will provide you with a move-in guide. And that will be a great place to get some initial information about safety on campus, such as transportation or our housing policies. The most important place, though, that you'll hear about safety on campus and preparedness is by attending that first floor meeting or that community meeting with your RA. That's where they'll walk through all of our housing policies and all of our safety procedures, such as where would be your meeting spot if we had to evacuate the building for an earthquake or for a fire alarm, those type of things. So they will go through that with you when you arrive on campus. We also have a campus alert system that you have automatically been opted into. And so if there are emergencies that occur on campus, you will receive notice of instructions for what to do in real time. That will come to your phone, into your email. That will also go to any additional contacts who you've designated within your CIS account to be a part of that too. So please know that we will communicate with you should something happen, and we will let you know about all of those safety procedures and policies at your first community meeting too.
Great, thank you. Also, I just want to plug really quick, next week, the webinar is on student safety, rights, and resources. So we're going to have folks from the Dean of Students Office and the University Public Safety Office to be able to go through what we have and answer any questions that you have. And it's the same time, noon Mountain Time, next Wednesday, August 9th. There is a question about dimensions. If the bed is not lofted, is there any space underneath the bed to store anything?
Yes, there is room underneath the bed, even if you don't loft it. I'm going to put this website in the chat as well for furniture dimensions. Again, we do have some slight variations in which furniture is offered. So they're all the same type of extra long twin bed or wardrobe, but we have variations from year to year as we purchase new furniture. So the exact dimensions can be found at housing.utah.edu/housing-options/room-types. And I'm going to put that in the chat for everyone as well if you are watching this and can use that link.
Okay, great. On move-in day for families who are dropping off their students, do they have to buy a parking pass, or is there parking available for them on those move-in days?
There will be parking available on those days. We do suggest that students and families only bring one vehicle with them to campus to make that easier. For their arrival. You do not need to purchase a parking permit though on move-in day. We will ask for you again to move your car once you've unloaded all your belongings, and you'll move that to the Rice-Eccles Stadium lot. You do not need a permit to park in that lot on move-in day.
Okay, Great, thank you. And then for early move-in, is the process the same? First go to the Union building, pick up your key, and then go to your room? Is that the same process for early move-in?
So early arrivals, for the most part, are going to go to their building's desk. So you can find the desk where you might get mail services and keys on our website as well. So we have the link in the chat for those of you watching now, and for those watching later, that is at housing.utah.edu/living-u/desk-mail-services. So it's a longer link, but that will take you to our desk services page, and that will tell you which desk serves which area of campus. If you're at an offsite location, you will typically need to go to the Marriott Honors Community Desk, as they serve all of our offsite locations for housing. If you are an early arrival and you've gotten instructions that do not say go to your desk, but do something else, follow those instructions. There are a few small groups that have been prearranged to do something else. But if your student is not sure, not clear based on the emails they've received, please give us a call. We're happy to help out.
Yeah, I think it's good here to reiterate that the university will communicate with students through email. The email is their student ID, so you and then the numbers that follow at utah.edu. Most students aren't really good at email communication. They prefer other modes of communication, but there's lots of details that they need to know. And so we just need to get them in the habit of checking their email. All important things come through email, and so just reiterate, maybe go sit down by your student and help them check the email just to make sure that you get to see this information as well. We talked on last week's webinar about privacy laws, federal laws around privacy. So communication goes directly to students by federal law, and so it's just important for them to get comfortable with the ways they will be communicated to. I have a question about using command strips. Is that something that can be used in the rooms, and are there certain places where they work and other places where they don't work?
Yeah, great question. We do encourage students to personalize their space. So we're excited you're thinking about how to do that and make it feel like home. You are welcome to use command strips or 3M strips to hang things on your walls. We would just caution you to make sure that you are following the instructions on how to use those products and materials, as if improperly used, they could result in some damage to the walls. If there is damage caused to the room, you could potentially be charged for that damage. So just follow the instructions for that. You are not able to nail things into the walls or like permanently secure them. So your best bet is using things like tape or command strips if you want to hang things to the walls.
Okay, and then Rachel, for the resident assistants, the RAs versus living learning communities, how will students know and meet their RAs versus if they're participating in an LLC? Do they need to be there at a certain time for the first meeting for the LLC?
Great question. So each of our floors in our halls will have RAs in them. So that includes our living learning communities as well. Throughout move-in day, you will notice your RAs on your floors. They should be coming around, introducing themselves to you, letting you know who they are. We will also have posted information for you. So you'll see that on the walls about when those community meetings are taking place. We will share information with you via email as well. So again, keep checking that email for more information. And that will tell you exactly when those first floor meetings will be. There will not be separate meetings for like living learning communities outside of those first community meetings. So that first community meeting is the one that you're going to want to prioritize and be at.
Excellent. Thanks, Rachel. There is a question about parking, so I'll just answer this one. When you go to commuterservices.utah.edu, and if you've purchased a parking pass, you can actually click in. So there's a number that's assigned to you that gives you information about your pass. So if you click into that, that will tell you the days that it's active. And so depending on when you buy it and what you buy, there's not just one thing, there's lots of different options. So I can't tell you if you buy on this date, it's good for 12 months after this date. It just depends on what you did, but you can always check that by clicking into it. So signing into the account with the student's university ID number, and then clicking on that, it will tell you all about it. It will tell you if you have any parking tickets that you need to resolve. You want to make sure to stay on top of that, because parking tickets result in holds and you won't be able to register if you have any financial holds. And so don't get behind in parking. You don't want to miss getting into the class that you want because you have a hold on your account before you can register for next semester. So all of that information, you can pay tickets on that portal. So getting familiar with that portal, I think, is a really good idea. Let's see. So there's lots and lots of information available on housing.utah.edu, and we've given you a lot of the drill down links, but if that's just like too much to remember, it's not a bad idea to just go get familiar with the websites. So start at the housing.utah.edu page and just start, looking and clicking into things. Utah Fresh is a new website that we just started this year. It started in January, and it aggregates all of the places on the broader website that we find would be useful for first-year students. There's also a place on the Utah Fresh website where you can ask questions. There are real people answering those questions. And so if you have something really specific about your particular student, or a question that you can't seem to find, if you just go into, there's just a little space to contact us. If you type in your question there, we'll get back to you with an answer to that. Hopefully that can help you there as well. Utah Fresh will also house, as I mentioned before, house the videos of these webinars. This is something that we're trying new this year, and we just thought, that there's a lot to know. We've got a lot of great information, and so whatever we can do to help people figure out where the information is, we're really excited to be able to do that. I did mention before, we have an upcoming webinar on student safety, rights, and resources next week. So the Office of the Dean of Students, the University Police, will cover student rights and responsibilities, student success, staying safe on campus, and share some of the numerous resources available to students. We have some pretty amazing resources. University of Utah Health is co-located in the same location. We have a lot of really great health services, mental health services, lots of things to help students. So we'll review some of that next week as well. I believe that we have answered all the questions that have been put in the chat. If you think of something after we hang up, don't worry. Utah Fresh, you can go in and ask that question, or most of the things that we've covered are on housing.utah.edu. So we just want to say we're very, very excited for students to come on campus. We love campus. I think everyone on this call has been here a long time. I was a student here back in, I won't even say which decade, but it was a while ago. And we're all very, very passionate about the University of Utah, about the experience your students are going to have. And we're just very, very excited to get everyone on campus and welcome everyone. So Rachel, Laura, thank you so much. I don't know, do you have any last words before we close out?
The last thing I would just say, we welcome you to ask direct questions of us too. The best way to reach us in housing is either to email us at info@housing.utah.edu or to give us a phone call Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., 801-587-2002.
And
Awesome.
also by saying that, you know, as we started off this conversation, this is about a big transition. And it's not just about your student, it's about your family or the people supporting them. It's a transition for someone to leave your household or to leave that closer contact and come to the university. So we know that that's an adjustment for everybody. Please know that if you are trying to give your students space to figure out stuff on their own, but you want to know some like helpful hints or ways that you can like support them a little bit more subtly, give us a call. Just say, hey, I want my student to figure this out, but I need to know this information so I can help guide. We are very happy to help consult with that too. So FERPA or student privacy does come into play, but we're happy to give you basic information or say, well, if your student were to call in based on what you're telling me, here's what I would advise them. So please know you're welcome to call us. We can't necessarily give you all of your students' information, but we are very happy to help you with your situation.
Excellent. And if you have any questions about FERPA, which is the federal law about student privacy, we discussed that on the webinar last Wednesday. And so you can go and watch that video and it shows you where to go for your student to give you permission to get some information. So that's available on our last video, or you can go on the website and look at that. Utah Fresh covers that as well. So thanks, everyone. Enjoy your last few weeks getting ready to move in, and we'll see your students and you moving in with your students just right around the corner. So thanks, everybody.